Stand up and touch your toes. Contemplate the nature of the universe. Listen to the hum of those cicadas. Every thought, action, or sensation, no matter how consequential or unimportant, how basic or complex, happens because of something called the synapse. But before we get in to the many subtle intricacies of neuronal communication, let's back up a little bit and discuss some of the basics. Neurons are nervous system cells found all over the body. They send, receive, and integrate signals, which eventually allow you to act, think, or perceive. Once a signal is sent through enough neurons, it can induce a response, like you recoiling in disgust from a bad smell, or hugging someone you love when you see them.
Neuronal structures include their spherical cell body, small but numerous projections around and away from the cell body called dendrites, and one long protrusion from the cell body, going the opposite direction of the dendrites, known as an axon. The axons are responsible for sending signals, and the dendrites are responsible for receiving them. The axon on each neuron ends with a few short branches called axon terminals.
All of the interactions between neurons occur at the synapse, where one neuron tells another neuron what's up. These interactions can be chemical, electrical, or both.
In a chemical synapse, the neuron sending a signal, also known as the presynaptic neuron, has one of its axon terminals facing a dendrite of the neuron receiving the signal, which is called the postsynaptic neuron. There's a space between the axon terminal and the dendrite known as the synaptic cleft, in which, before any signal is sent, are positive ions. There are also channels in the cell membranes of the axon and dendrite. Lastly, inside of the axon terminal are tiny spherical packets called synaptic vesicles. These contain chemicals known as neurotransmitters, which would actually transmit the signal across the synaptic cleft. How does it all work? First, an action potential comes through the axon of the presynaptic neuron and arrives at the axon terminal. The action potential is an electrical signal that propagates from neuron to neuron. When the action potential arrives, the ions previously outside of the cell flow into the axon terminal through the channels, changing the charge from negative to positive. These ions prompt the vesicles to bind to the presynaptic membrane and release their precious chemical cargo into the synaptic cleft. The neurotransmitter then flows across the synaptic cleft and binds to the channels in the postsynaptic cell, which act as receptors. It will then either open or close, in this case open, the channels, increasing or decreasing, respectively, the chance that it will further the propagation of the action potential.
The synapse is the foundation for virtually every achievement of life on Earth, from the drifting of a flatworm in the ocean to the development of quantum mechanics.